Good morning everybody. Today we will discuss about probability theory. In the last class we are also discussing probability. So today we will discuss about conditional probability. Let A and B are any two events of a sample space S. Conditional probability of A subject to B. This is reading as conditional probability of the event A subject to B. Conditional probability of A subject to B. That means already the event B has been happened and we have to find the probability of the event A. It equals to PA intersection B divided by PB. Similarly, you can also define conditional probability of B subject to A, that will be PA intersection B by PA, like this. Then about independent events. Suppose you are tossing a coin and throwing a die, getting a head on with the coin and getting 6 with the die, they are completely independent. So two events are said to be independent if occurrence of one does not affect the occurrence of the other. Two events are said to be independent if occurrence of one does not affect the occurrence of the other. So if A and B are independent, if A and B are independent, then we have PA intersection B equals to PA into PB. That means their corresponding probabilities will be multiplied. Let us do a theorem on this. If A and B are independent, then A dash and B dash are independent. In the last class I have told that A dash and B dash indicate the complementary event of A and B, or instead of these notations A dash and B dash, you can take also A complement and B complement. Proof. As A and B are independent, so from the definition of independence, PA intersection B equal to PA into PB. Now we have to show that A dash and B dash are independent. That is, if we can show that probability of A dash intersection B dash equals to PA dash into PB dash, then our job is over. So that can be written as PA union B whole dash by De Morgan's law. You must have remembered A dash intersection B dash equals to A union B whole dash. So this is equal to 1 minus probability of A union B. That can be written as 1 minus, we have already proved that probability of A union B equals to PA plus PB minus probability of A intersection B. That is 1 minus PA minus PB plus P A intersection B. That is 1 minus PA minus PB. P intersection B can be written as PA into PB. That is 1 minus PA minus PB taking as a common. We have 1 minus PA inside the bracket. So ultimately we have 1 minus PA into 1 minus PB. That is PA dash into PB dash. That implies, we have already proved that PA dash intersection B dash equal to PA dash into PB dash. That implies A dash and B dash are independent. Similarly, there is another theorem. If A and B are independent, then A dash and B are independent. From the definition of independent events, here PA intersection B as the previous theorem, PA into PB. We have this given condition hypothesis. So now A intersection S equal to A. That implies A can be written as A intersection B union B dash. Here S is functioning as the sample space. A and B are subsets of the sample space S. That is, by distributive law, we can write A intersection B union A intersection B dash. These two events, A intersection B, that means the elements which are present in A and present in B, both A and B. And A intersection B complement is the elements which are present in A and B dash. So these two events have no common element. That means they are mutually exclusive. Here A intersection B and A intersection B dash are mutually exclusive. In the last class I have told that if A and B are mutually exclusive, then probability of A union B equals to PA plus PB. So here PA equals to probability of A intersection B union A intersection B dash. That is PA intersection B plus PA intersection B dash. That implies PA equals to like this. Again, PA intersection B can be written as PA into PB plus PA intersection B dash. That implies PA minus PA into PB equals to PA intersection B dash. That is PA taking common 1 minus PB equals to PA intersection B dash. That implies PA into PB dash equals to PA intersection B dash. That means we have shown that probability of A intersection B dash equal to PA into PB dash. That implies if A and B are independent, then we will show that A and B dash are independent. So PA into PB dash equals to PA into PA intersection B dash. That implies A and B dash are independent. So similarly, if A and B are independent, then you can show that A dash and B are independent. So for this you can take B equals to B intersection S, that is B intersection A union A dash. Then we will proceed like the previous theorem, and I hope you can complete the theorem. So then we will do some problems on probability. A die is rolled thrice. Find the probability that the numbers obtained are in increasing order. You all know that a die has 6 faces. So when 3 dice are thrown, then as the die is thrown thrice, that implies cardinal of S equal to 6 cube equal to 216. 216. Now our question comes, what is the meaning of increasing order? That means you can take 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 6. Similarly, you can take 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 6, like this. So it is very lengthy process. If we will written like this, so there is another way of solving this problem. Let A is the event of getting the numbers in increasing order. That implies cardinal of A equal to 6C3, that is 6 factorial by 3 factorial into 3 factorial, 6, 4 into 5, 6, 5 into 4 into 3 factorial by 3 factorial, 3 into 2, that will be 20. So P, probability of getting the numbers in increasing order equals to cardinal of A by cardinal of S, that is 20 by 216. Or as I have told that you can solve this problem by writing all the elements in increasing order, and it will be a time taking process. Next is three volumes of a book and 5 volumes of another book are placed at random on a bookshelf. Find the probability that all volumes of books will be found together. Since the books will be found together, so considering first 3 books as a single element, they will be arranged in 3 factorial ways. For second category, 5 volumes of books will be arranged in 5 factorial ways. As the books will be together. So, 3 books of first category will be arranged in 3 factorial ways. Similarly, 5 books of second category will be arranged in 5 factorial ways. Now there are 2 possibilities. Either you can start or keep the books of first category in the first place, and another process is keeping all the books of second category in the first place. So, as there are 2 categories of books, so we can keep the first category initially or second category initially. So there are 2 possibilities. So probability of arrangements of books to be together equals to 2 factorial into 3 factorial into 5 factorial whole divided by 8 factorial. I have taken in the denominator 8 factorial because total books is 5 plus 3, that is 8. 8 books can be arranged in 8 factorial ways. So this is the probability of the 2 categories of books will be arranged on the book shelf so that they will be together. A card is selected from 100 cards. If the card is selected at random, then find the probability that the number on the card is first divisible by 5, second divisible by 2 and 5, third category divisible by 2 or 5. So there are 100 cards and you have to select only one card. That can be done in 100C1 ways. That means cardinality of the sample space is 100C1. Out of 100 cards, one card can be selected in 100C1 ways. That implies cardinality of S for this problem is 100C1, that is 100. Let A is the event of getting a number on the card, that is divisible by 5. So guess how many numbers are there between 1 and 100 which are divisible by 5? Their number is 20. The technique is you can divide the 100 by 5, that is the number will come out, that is 20. So cardinality of A equals to 20 implies PA, that is 20 by 100. Let B event of getting a number on the card, that is divisible by 2 and 5. Just take the LCM of 2 and 5. The numbers which are divisible by both 2 and 5, that is ultimately divisible by 10. That implies cardinality of B equals to 10, because there are 10 numbers between 1 and 100 which are divisible by both 2 and 5. So in this case, probability of B equals to 10 by 100, that is 1 by 10. So suppose C is the event, that event of getting the numbers that are divisible by 2. There are divide 100 by 2, that is 50 numbers. There are 50 numbers which are divisible by 2. So cardinality of C is 50. So probability of getting the numbers divisible by 2 or 5 is same as probability of A union C. Probability of getting the numbers that are divisible by 2 or 5, that is probability of A union C, that is PA plus PC minus P intersection C. Here P intersection C is, that is divisible by 2, that is PA is your 1 by 20, sorry 1 by 5, your PC is 50 by 100. So you can write here PC is 50 by 100, that is 1 by 2, minus PA intersection C is same as PB, 1 by 10. A intersection C equals to B, that is, then you can simplify the numbers. You remember one thing while solving the problems, maximum probability will be 1, minimum probability will be 0, in no case it will be negative or greater than 2, sorry greater than 1. There are 20 defective balls in a box of 100 balls. If 10 balls are chosen at random, what is the probability that, what is the probability that there are 3 defective balls? See here, there are total number of balls in the box is 100. Number of defective balls, that is 20. Number of non-defective or good balls or balls in good condition is 100 minus 20, 80. So you have to select, we have to select 10 balls out of 100 balls. From combination, that implies cardinal of S equals to 100C1, sorry 100C10. So that can be done in, out of 100 balls, 10 balls can be selected in 100C10 ways. As let A is the event of getting 3 defective balls. See here, the number of defective balls is 20. You have to select 3 defective balls. That can be done in 20C3 ways. But we are selecting 10 balls. That means if 3 balls are out of 10 balls, if 3 balls are defective, then remaining balls, that 10 minus 3, 7 balls must be good. So these 7 balls can be selected out of 80 balls. That is 20C3 into 80C7, because out of 20 defective balls, 3 defective balls can be selected in 20C3 ways. Similarly, out of 80 good balls, 7 good balls can be selected in 80C7 ways. Here they are independent or by fundamental principle of counting. So probability of selecting 3 defective balls, if 10 balls are selected, will be 20C3 into 80C7. That implies cardinality of A equals to 20C3 into 80C7. So probability of getting 3 defective balls equals to 20C3 80C7 divided by 100C10. Five boys and 3 girls are playing a chess tournament. All boys have the same probability P of winning the tournament, and all the girls have the same probability Q of winning. If P equal to 2Q, then find the probability that a boy wins. Here wins means wins the tournament. A girl wins. Here according to the question, the chance of winning the tournament of a boy is P. As there are 5 boys, so total chance of winning is 5P. As the chance of winning of a boy is P, that implies chance of winning of 5 boys equals to 5P. Again, chance of winning of a girl is Q, that implies chance of winning of 3 girls is 3Q. So total probabilities is here sum of all the probabilities equals to 5P plus 3Q, which equals to 1, because I have told that maximum probability is 1. That implies, again another condition is there, P equals to 2Q. So 5P becomes 10Q plus 3Q equal to 1. That implies Q equals to 1 by 13. That implies the chance of winning a girl is 1 by 13 and that of a boy and that of girls equals to 3 by 13, because there are 3 girls. Similarly, chance of winning of boys, that is equal to 10Q, that is equal to 10 by 13. Let us do another problem. Two balls are drawn from a bag containing 5 white and 7 black balls. Find the probability of selecting 2 white balls if first ball drawn is not replaced before drawing the second. Here this not replaced is an important word. So here total number of balls in the bag, 5 white and 7 black balls, will give you 12. Total number of balls in the bag equals to 5 plus 7, 12. Out of five white balls, first white ball can be drawn in 5C1 ways. Similarly, from the bag out of 12, first ball can be drawn in 12C1 ways. Similarly, out of 12 balls from the bag, one ball can be selected in 12C1 wedge. So probability of drawing the first white ball will be 5C1 by 12C1. There you know NC1 equals to 1, so 5 by 12. The next step, for the second step, according to the question, while selecting the second white ball, the first ball drawn is not replaced. That means we have already drawn the first white ball, so total number of white balls in the bag will be 5 minus 1, that is 4. Again, out of 12, we have extracted a single ball. That means total number of balls in the bag will be 12 minus 1, that is 11. As the first white ball drawn is not replaced, so total number of white balls equals to 5 minus 1, 4. Total number of balls in the bag equal to 12 minus 1, that is 11. So while you are drawing the second white ball, out of 4 white balls you have to draw the second ball. So probability of drawing the second white ball, if there is no replacement of balls, that is 4C1 by 11C1, that is 4 by 11. So first ball is drawn in 5 by 12 wedge, second white ball is drawn in 4 by 11 wedge. Then by fundamental principle of counting, the probability of P drawing 2 white balls from the bag equals to 5 by 12 multiplied by 4 by 11. Then you can find the answer. Next, suppose 2 cards are drawn from a pack of 52 cards. Find the probability that they are of different suits. Second one, they are of different denominations. We have 52 cards in the pack. While drawing the first card, that can be done in 52C1 wedge. First card can be drawn out of 52 cards in 52C1 wedge. So probability of drawing the first card equals to 52 by 52, because total number of arrangements, or out of 52 things, one thing can be selected in 52C1 wedge. So here sample space is also equal to 52, so that can be done is 52 by 52 wedge. For first condition, they are of different suits. I have told that there are 4 types of suits in a pack: diamond, club, heart and spade, and in each suit there are 13 cards. So probability while drawing the second card, the card is of different suits. That means different suits means you have to deduct 4 cards, that is P drawing 2 cards of different suits. Sorry, that means 52 cards minus different suits means suppose you have drawn a diamond. That means you have to cancel all you cannot draw a diamond card. Therefore, you have 52 minus 13, that is 39 cards in your hand. So out of these 39 cards, you will have to select out of 51 cards, that is 39 by 51, because here total number of cards is 52. Again I am repeating, total number of cards is 52 and in a suit there are 13 cards. Therefore, he has to minus 52 minus 13, that is 39 cards. So while in the first chance we have drawn already 1 card, so out of 52 cards 1 card is missing. So therefore, we have 15 out of 59 cards, we have to draw the second card. So drawing the second card of different suits, that is probability that while drawing 2 cards of different suits equals to, or probability of drawing second card equals to 52 by 52 multiplied by 39 by 51. For second bit, they are of different denominations. Different denominations, suppose you got a card numbered as 10. That means there are 10 numbered, 4 cards are there from each suit. That means, so first card will be drawn in same way, 52 by 52, and second card will be drawn in 52 minus 4, 48. Here 4 will be subtracted from 52 because for one denomination there are 4 cards from each suit. So first card can be drawn in 52C1 ways. So P drawing the first card, that is 52 by 52, as the cards are of different denominations, so P drawing the second card equals to 48 by 51. Remember, first card is drawn, you have already drawn the first card, so total number of cards in the pack is 51. And suppose you draw a card of a denomination, there are 4 cards of different suits of that denomination. Therefore, we have to subtract 52 minus 4, that is 48 cards are there. So probability of drawing 2 cards of different denominations equals to 52 by 52 multiplied by 48 by 51. From a set of families having 3 children, a family is picked at random. If the eldest child happens to be girl, then find the probability that she has two brothers. A set of families having 3 children. That means in each family there are 3 children, and the condition is the eldest child happens to be a girl. Then what are the possibilities? There is a possibility that girl, boys, or girl, boys, girl, or girl, boys, or 3 girls will be there. Girl, boy, girl, boys, or 3 girls. These are all possibilities. That means here sample space is cardinality is 4. We are interested with the event that the girl has 2 brothers. So out of these 4, we have to find in which case the girl has 2 brothers. It will be the single case, GBB. So if A is the event that the girl has 2 brothers, that will be GBB, that is cardinality of A equals to 1. So probability of the eldest, if the eldest child is a girl and she has 2 brothers, equals to 1/4. Suppose if one child of a family is a son, then find the probability that he has 2 sisters. In previous case, the position of the girl is in the first position. The eldest child is the girl. Here, one child of a family is son. That means out of 3 positions, the position of son is not fixed. So here the possibilities are BGG, GBG, GGB, BBG, BGB, GBB, and triple boys. These are the possibilities. So total number of possibilities in this case is this, that is 7. So here cardinality of A sample space is 7. Out of this there are 7 possibilities, but we let B event that the family has a boy child and 2 sisters. That implies cardinality of B. What are the possibilities here? BGG, boy with 2 girls, GBG, boy with 2 girls, GGB, boy with 2 girls. So there are 3 possibilities. So probability of B is 3/7. टाइम हो गले मत कह आप आउ के आसले आसले हो आसला चल था टे A and B play a game by alternately throwing a pair of dice. One who throws 8 wins the game. If A starts the game, find their chance of winning. Here the condition is if somebody will throws 8, then he will win the game. Let or the event of throwing 8. What are the possibilities? 6 2 2 6 3 5 5 3 and 4 4. So probability of getting a total of 8, that is 5 by 36, because while throwing a pair of dice, cardinal of S equals to 36 and event of, suppose A is the event that getting a total of 8, so its probability is 5 by 36. P not getting a total of 8, 1 minus 5 by 36, that is 31 by 36. So the condition is A starts the game. First one is A does not throw 8. If A throws 8, then the problem ends there. P throws 8, 5 by 36. Second, if A does not throw 8, B does not throw 8, and A throws 8. All are independent cases. That is, first one is P, A throws 8 in his second chance. That is 5. A fails 31 by 36, B fails 31 by 36, A wins 5 by 36. That is 5 by 36 into 31 by 36 whole square. In next throw, if A fails, B fails, again A fails, B fails, then A wins. In that case, A throws 8 in third chance, 5 by 36 into 31 by 36 whole to the power 4. It is, if the process is continuing on, there will be a series and it will be PA wins the game 5 by 36. For second, 5 by 36 into 31 by 36 whole square. Next, 5 by 36, 31 by 36 whole to the power 4, and so on. We can take a common factor of 5 by 36, 1 plus 31 by 36 whole square, 31 by 36 whole to the power 4, and so on. The term inside the bracket gives you a geometric series 1 plus r square and so on. So as the process is going on for infinite times, so it will be equals to 5 by 36 divided by 1 minus 31 by 36 whole square. That is 5 by 36 divided by a square minus b square form 1 by 1 minus 31 by 36, that is 5 by 36 divided by 67 by 36 multiplied by 5 by 36. So we have 36 by 67 is the chance of A wins. Similarly, B wins the game, that is 1 minus PA, that is 1 minus 36 by 67 . 31 by 67. Close करिए. Okay students, I hope you got some brief idea on probability theory, and I have already completed all the aspects of probability theory. I hope you can do some more problems in your study room. Thank you all.